Welcome back to Bar Girl Baddies. Today's story comes from a man we'll call Jake, a 32-year-old software developer from Manchester who thought he'd found something real in the chaos of Patong Beach. He didn't just lose money. He didn't just lose time. He lost his ability to trust his own judgment. And that's the kind of wound that doesn't heal with a plane ticket home. Jake sent us his story 3 months ago. It arrived in our inbox at 2 a.m, Thailand time. The subject line just said, "I need someone to know what happened." And what happened was this: a woman named Ploy, a smile that could light up Bangla Road, and 5 other men across 3 continents who were all living the exact same fantasy at the exact same time. If you think you're too smart for this, if you think you'd see it coming, I want you to stay until the end of this video, because Jake thought the same thing. He had a good job, a university degree, mates who warned him. None of it mattered. Love, or what feels like love, doesn't care about your resume. Before we dive in, drop a comment and let us know where you're watching from. If you've ever been in the situation where you ignored the red flags because you wanted something to be true, hit that like button. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do it now. These stories matter, and the more we share them, the fewer people end up living them. This is Jake's story. In his own words, "I'll be honest with you, my life before Thailand was bloody boring. Not bad, just boring. I'd been working the same job for 6 years, writing code for a fintech startup in Manchester that got acquired by a bigger company, which got acquired by an even bigger company. My days were meetings about meetings, stand-ups that could have been emails, and coming home to a flat that always felt too quiet. I wasn't miserable, I just wasn't anything. I'd scroll through Instagram and see people my age traveling, building businesses, getting married, having kids. I was doing none of it. I had money in the bank, sure. But what's the point of money if all you do is look at it on a screen between conference calls? My last relationship ended about 18 months before all this. Her name was Sarah. We'd been together 3 years, and when she left, she said something I couldn't shake. "You're not really here, Jake. You're just going through the motions." At the time, I thought she was being dramatic. Looking back, she was absolutely right. I was a passenger in my own life. Then one night, I'm lying in bed watching YouTube, and the algorithm serves me up this video of a guy, maybe 5 years older than me, talking about how he sold everything and moved to Thailand. He's sitting on a beach, beer in hand, sun setting behind him. He's talking about 300 quid rent for a sea view apartment, about freedom, about actually living instead of just existing. And I remember thinking, why not me? I started researching, not just watching videos, but reading blogs, joining expat forums, lurking in Facebook groups. Everyone had the same story. They were tired of the grind, tired of the weather, tired of feeling invisible. Thailand offered warmth, affordability, adventure. It offered a reset button. I didn't make the decision lightly. I saved for another 6 months, tied up loose ends, told my boss I was taking a sabbatical. My mates thought I was mad. "You're going to throw away your career for what, mate? Cheap beer and ping pong shows." They didn't get it. This wasn't about running away. It was about running towards something. I landed in Phuket in March. The heat hit me the second I stepped off the plane, thick and wet like walking into a sauna. I'd rented a studio in Patong for the first month through Airbnb, nothing fancy, but it had a balcony and I could see a sliver of ocean between 2 buildings. That was enough. The first week was pure sensory overload. The smell of street food mixed with exhaust and salt air. The sound of motorbikes weaving through traffic like schools of fish. The neon everywhere, even in daylight, like the city was too excited about nighttime to wait for the sun to set. I loved it immediately. I'd go to the beach in the mornings, work on my laptop at a cafe in the afternoons, and explore in the evenings. I wasn't looking for trouble. I wasn't even looking for romance. I just wanted to feel like I was part of something bigger than a Slack channel and a pension plan. That's when I met her. It was my 2nd week. I'd walked down to Bangla Road, not because I was desperate to party, but because I was curious. Everyone told me to avoid it, which of course made me want to see it. It was a Thursday night, and the street was already packed. Music pouring out of every doorway, girls in bikinis dancing on poles visible through open storefronts, drunk Aussies stumbling between bars. I ducked into a quieter spot on a side street. It was called something like Dream Bar or Angel's Den, I honestly can't remember. What I remember is Ploy. She wasn't working the door like some of the others. She was sitting at the bar, texting on her phone, wearing jeans and a simple black top. She looked up when I walked in, and her face just opened. That's the only way I can describe it. Like she was genuinely happy to see me, even though she had no idea who I was. "You look lost," she said in English, smiling. "I am a bit," I admitted. "Sit, I help you." Her English wasn't perfect, but it was good. We talked for maybe 2 hours that first night. She asked me where I was from, what I did, why I came to Thailand. I asked her the same. She told me she was from Isan, up north, that she'd moved to Phuket 3 years ago to make money for her family. She was 26. She had a son back home with her mother. She was studying English and business online because she wanted to open a small cafe someday. I didn't buy her any drinks that night. She didn't ask. When I left, she gave me her line ID and said, "Message me if you want to see Phuket like a local, not a tourist." I messaged her the next day. The thing about Ploy was, she didn't feel like the bars, the noise, the chaos of Patong. She felt calm. When we met up that weekend, she took me to this little seafood place in Rawai. Nothing fancy, just plastic chairs and fresh fish grilled over charcoal. We sat by the water, and she told me about her son, about her family's farm, about how hard it was to send money home every month. I didn't see her as a bar girl. I saw her as a woman working hard in difficult circumstances, doing what she had to do. And maybe that's where I went wrong. Maybe I romanticized her struggle. But in that moment, it felt real. She felt real. We started seeing each other almost every day. She'd finish her shift, and we'd meet up late, grab food, walk along the beach, talk until the sun started creeping up. She wasn't like anyone I'd met back home. She was direct but soft, funny without trying, present in a way I hadn't experienced before. 3 weeks in, I asked her, "Do you have a boyfriend?" She looked at me for a long moment, then smiled. I wait for the right person. That night, we kissed for the first time, standing on Carter Beach with the tide coming in, and I swear to God I felt something shift inside me. Like I'd been holding my breath for years and finally exhaled. Within a month, I'd moved out of my studio and rented a 1-bedroom apartment in Karen, a bit quieter than Patong. Ploy stayed over most nights. She kept some clothes there. Toiletries, little things that made it feel like our place, not just mine. I'd wake up to her making coffee in my kitchen, humming Thai pop songs I didn't know. I was happier than I'd been in years. Maybe happier than I'd ever been. She told me she'd quit the bar, said she didn't need it anymore because I was helping her send money home, and she'd rather focus on us, on building something real. I didn't think twice. I was sending her family 1,000 quid a month. It felt good to help. It felt like I was part of something meaningful. Looking back now, I can see the exact moment I stopped being a boyfriend and became a sponsor. But when you're in it, when you're waking up next to someone who makes you feel needed, who makes you feel like you're the solution to their problems, you don't see it. You just feel grateful they chose you. My mate back home started asking fewer questions. My mum kept hinting I should come back for Christmas. I told them I was happy, that I'd found something special. And I believed it, every word. But here's the thing about comfort. It makes you soft. It makes you stop asking questions. It makes you believe the story you're being told, because questioning it would mean admonning you've been lied to. And who wants to be that guy? Ploy started needing more money. Her son was sick. Her mother's house needed repairs. Her brother got in an accident and needed medical bills paid. Every story was urgent, emotional, and just vague enough that I couldn't verify it. But I didn't try. Why would I? I trusted her. I sent more money, not just to her family, but to her directly. She needed a new phone. She wanted to take a course. She wanted to visit her son but didn't have money for the bus. Every request was small enough to seem reasonable, frequent enough to add up to something I wasn't tracking. I stopped checking my bank account every day. I stopped counting. I just kept saying yes, because saying no would have meant admitting something was wrong. We'd been together about 4 months when I started noticing the small things. She was on her phone more. She'd turn the screen away when I walked past. She'd get calls late at night and step outside to take them, saying it was her mum or her friend or someone from back home. I asked her once, casually, "Is everything okay? You seem distracted." She smiled and kissed me. "I just worry about my family. But I'm happy with you." And I believed her, because I wanted to. Then one night, I woke up at 3 in the morning and she wasn't in bed. I found her on the balcony, typing frantically on her phone, smiling at the screen. When she saw me, she jumped, locked the phone, and said she couldn't sleep. "Who were you texting?" "My friend. She has boy problems." I didn't push. I went back to bed, but I couldn't sleep. Something in my gut was screaming, and I kept telling it to shut up. 2 weeks later, I was using her phone to order food because mine was charging. A notification popped up. Line message from someone named Mike. The preview said, "Can't wait to see you next week, baby." My stomach dropped. I opened the app before I could stop myself. What I found broke me in a way I didn't know was possible. There were 5 chats, 5 men. Different names, different countries, different profile pictures. Mike from Australia, James from the UK, Lars from Sweden, 2 others whose names I don't even remember because my hands were shaking too hard to keep reading. The messages were all the same. "I miss you. I love you. I'm sending money for your son. I'm booking my flight. I can't wait to hold you." She was telling all of them the same stories. The sick son, the broken house, the struggling mother. She was sending all of them the same photos, the same voice notes, the same late-night confessions of love. And she was rotating us. When one guy visited, she'd tell the others she was going to see her family up north. When she was with me, she was telling them she missed them, counting down the days. I scrolled back months. It had been going on the entire time. Before me, even. I wasn't special. I wasn't different. I was just one of 5 rotating ATMs who thought they'd found love in paradise. I sat on the couch holding her phone, feeling like the walls were closing in. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I just stared at the screen until the words stopped making sense. When she came back from the 7-Eleven, she knew immediately. She saw her phone in my hand and her face went blank. "Jake, how many?" I asked. "It's not what you think. How many, Ploy?" She didn't answer. She just stood there, and I realized I was looking at a stranger. This woman I'd built my life around for 4 months, who I'd sent thousands of pounds to, who I'd imagined a future with, was someone I didn't know at all. "Get out," I said quietly. "Jake, please, I can explain. Get out." She grabbed her things and left. I sat there until the sun came up, going through my bank statements on my laptop, adding up every transfer, every payment, every time I'd said yes because I wanted to be her hero. £14,000. Gone. Not to her family, not to her son. To her. And to whatever life she was actually living when she wasn't with me. I called my bank. I called the British Embassy. I asked if there was anything I could do, any way to get it back. They were sympathetic but clear, unless I could prove fraud. It was a civil matter, and even if I could prove it, pursuing it in Thailand would cost more than I'd lost. I was, in every sense of the word, fucked. I found out more in the days after. Turns out, Ploy wasn't even her real name. Her Facebook, under a different name, showed photos with multiple foreign men spanning back years. She had a system. She had a routine. And I'd been part of it without ever knowing. One of the other guys, James, found me through a mutual group. He'd figured it out too. We compared notes. Same stories, same timelines, same promises. He'd sent her close to £20,000. He was married. He'd been lying to his wife for 6 months, sneaking money out of their joint account. Mike from Australia messaged me too. He was planning to propose. He'd bought a ring. We were all the same. Different ages, different countries, different lives. But we'd all fallen for the same woman or the same performance, and we'd all paid the price. I left Thailand 2 weeks later. I couldn't stay. Every corner of Phuket reminded me of her, or of the idiot I'd been. I moved back to Manchester, crashed on a mate's couch for a month until I found a flat, and went back to my old job because I had no choice. The money I'd saved was gone. The adventure was over. The dream had turned into the kind of nightmare you can't wake up from. For months, I was angry. At her, obviously, but mostly at myself. How did I not see it? How did I ignore every red flag, every inconsistency, every moment where my gut told me something was wrong? I prided myself on being smart, on being rational, and I'd been played like a fiddle by someone who saw me coming from a mile away. But anger fades. And when it does, what's left is something harder to carry. Shame. Embarrassment. The knowledge that I was so desperate to feel special, to feel needed, that I built an entire fantasy around someone who was never real. I don't blame Ploy, not entirely. I don't know her real story. I don't know what drove her to live like that, to juggle 5 men across continents and lie with such precision. Maybe she had no choice. Maybe poverty and desperation make people do things they wouldn't otherwise do. Maybe she's a victim of circumstances I can't understand. But I also know this. I was a victim too. And so were the other guys. We weren't just wallets. We were human beings who wanted connection, who wanted love, who wanted to believe we mattered. And that vulnerability was weaponized against us. I've learned a few things since then. I've learned that love, real love, doesn't move that fast. It doesn't ask for money in the first month. It doesn't hide its phone or dodge questions. I've learned that when someone seems too perfect, too eager, too understanding, it's worth asking why. I've also learned that Thailand isn't the villain in this story. Ploy isn't even the villain, not really. The villain is the fantasy. The idea that you can fly somewhere tropical and broken and find meaning in someone else's struggle. The idea that you can buy love, or rent it, or sponsor it into existence. You can't. I'm rebuilding, slowly. I've started therapy, which I probably should have done years ago. I'm dating again, cautiously, with my eyes open this time. I'm saving money again, but I'm smarter about it. And I'm trying, really trying, to forgive myself for being human, for wanting something real so badly that I accepted a very convincing fake. If you're reading this, if you're thinking about chasing a dream in Thailand or anywhere else, I'm not going to tell you not to go. I'm just going to tell you this: keep your eyes open. Keep your wallet closed until you know someone for who they really are, not who you want them to be. And if something feels too good to be true, it probably is. I wanted to believe I was different, that Ploy and I were different, that what we had was special. But I wasn't. It wasn't. And that's the hardest truth I've ever had to swallow. I sent this story to you because I don't want to be the only one who knows it happened. I don't want to carry it alone anymore. And maybe, if one person reads this and thinks twice before sending that first wire transfer, it'll mean something. It'll mean I turned the worst mistake of my life into something useful. Because that's all I put left. The lesson, and the hope that someone, somewhere, learns it without having to pay £14,000 for it. Jake's story isn't unique, and that's what makes it so devastating. There are hundreds, maybe thousands, of men who've lived some version of this. Men who flew to Thailand looking for adventure, for connection, for a second chance at happiness, and found themselves tangled up with someone who saw them as an opportunity, not a partner. And here's what I want you to understand. This isn't a story about how all Thai women are scammers, or how all bar girls are liars. That's not the point. The point is that wherever there's desperation on one side and naivety on the other, there's an opening for exploitation. And it goes both ways. Men exploit women in Thailand every single day. Women exploit men. It's a cycle fed by poverty, by privilege, by loneliness, and by the fantasy that somewhere across the world there's a magical solution to the emptiness back home. Ploy was running a business, a cruel one, maybe an unethical one, but a business nonetheless. She identified a market, lonely foreign men with disposable income, and she provided a service. The problem is that the service was packaged as love. And when you sell love, you're not selling a product, you're selling hope. You're selling the belief that someone sees you, chooses you, needs you. And when that belief is shattered, it doesn't just hurt your bank account, it hurts your soul. Jake didn't just lose £14,000, he lost his faith in his own judgment. He lost months of his life. He lost the ability to trust the next woman who smiles at him, the next person who shows him kindness. That's the real cost, the invisible toll that doesn't show up on a bank statement. I think about the other men in this story too. James, who lied to his wife and drained their savings. Mike, who bought an engagement ring for a woman who was never going to marry him. The 2 others whose names we don't even know, who were probably still sending money, still believing, still caught in the web. How do you recover from that? How do you look at yourself in the mirror when you realize you weren't special, you were just next in line? The answer is, slowly, with help, with honesty, and with the understanding that being human means being fallible. It means wanting connection so badly that sometimes we ignore the warning signs. It means believing in the best of people even when we shouldn't. Jake's trying. He's in therapy. He's rebuilding his savings. He's learning to date again, to trust again, to believe that not everyone is ploy. But it's hard. Because once you've been burned like that, once you've had your vulnerability weaponized, it's difficult to be vulnerable again. And that's the tragedy. Ploy didn't just take Jake's money. She took his openness, his willingness to believe in magic, his ability to fall in love without calculating the risk. She turned him into someone who second-guesses kindness, who looks for ulterior motives, who builds walls instead of bridges. Is that her fault? Is it his? Is it the fault of a system that creates such vast inequality that juggling 5 foreign boyfriends becomes a viable survival strategy? I don't have the answer, but I know this. If you're watching this video and you see yourself in Jake, if you're sending money to someone you met 2 weeks ago in a bar in Pattaya or Phuket or Angeles City, if you're ignoring your friend's warnings because this time it's different, this time it's real, I need you to stop, just for a moment. And ask yourself, what am I really buying? And what is it costing me? Because the price isn't just financial, it's emotional, it's psychological. And by the time you realize how much you've paid, the bill is already due. Jake ended his email with a line I haven't been able to stop thinking about. He said, "I flew to Thailand to find myself. Instead, I found out I was never lost. I was just lonely. And loneliness makes you do stupid things." He's right. Loneliness is a hell of a drug. It makes you see what you want to see. It makes you ignore what's right in front of you. It makes you build castles out of sand and call them home. But here's the thing. You don't cure loneliness by flying somewhere tropical. You don't cure it by finding someone who needs you. You cure it by learning to be enough for yourself, by building a life that feels full even when you're alone, by recognizing that another person can add to your happiness, but they can't create it from scratch. Jake knows that now. He learned it the hard way. But he learned it. And maybe, just maybe, his story will help someone else learn it without losing £14,000, 4 months of their life, and their ability to trust. If you've made it this far, thank you for listening. Drop a comment and let us know what you think. Have you ever ignored red flags because you wanted something to be true? Have you ever sent money to someone you barely knew because it felt like the right thing to do? You're not alone, and you're not stupid. You're human. Hit that like button if this story resonated with you. Subscribe if you want more honest, raw conversations about the messy reality of chasing dreams abroad. And share this with someone who might need to hear it. Because stories like Jake's don't just happen to other people. They happen to people like us. People who are searching for something real in a world that's increasingly fake. And the only way we protect each other is by being honest about what we've been through. Take care of yourselves out there. And remember, you're worth more than someone's business model. You're worth real love, real connection, real honesty. Don't settle for anything less. Until next time, this is Bargo Baddies. Stay safe, stay smart, and stay human.